When I first heard electronic music, it was when I was young, about 8 years old, from what I can remember. Sky, the band by John Williams, a track called Toccata. That was something that I was over at a friend's place, and that just really took me. And it was just from then I just started to delve into it a little bit more and listen. Yeah.
First electronic music I was listening to would be stuff like really early 80s stuff. I had an older sister who was fully into like early goth and kind of alternate stuff. And
can you name names of bands?
Yeah, it was she used to listen to a little bit of Gary Newman, lots of Depeche Mode, stuff like that. Just a lot of cheesy stuff as well, like Man to Man and you know, Male Stripper and stuff like that, which I love, by the way.
I'm a big fan of electronic music and have been for a while. I grew up in the country in Queensland, and a lot of, you know, when I first heard it was when I was finishing my schooling at Bow Desert, and all my friends were into Hotted Up SLRs and Pink Floyd, and I remember wagging school one day and walking down Edward Street in Brisbane, and I heard Blue Monday belting out of a record store called Dance Music Records, which was here before Central Station, and I was instantly drawn to go down there and listen to it. And I can still remember to this day looking up at the racks and just being, you know, drawn into it.
I went to school with some graffiti artists, one of the guys was a DJ. This is grade 10, and he used to buy heaps of electro hip hop records, and we used to consequently listen to them on the bus going to school. And before that, I was really into, I guess, Human League, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, ZTT Records, Art of Noise, you know, all that sort of stuff. I just instantly elevated to. But I also love punk rock and all this other stuff. So, you know, it's a mishmash of everything. I guess to me, I think someone who's very influential is, as I mentioned before, ZTT and Trevor Horn. Like those sorts of things that for me was just, you know, I'd never heard anything like it. And Jean-Michel Jarre, sorry, I completely forgot his name there. I think he's, you know, another one that's, I guess he's like up there with the superstars, but a lot of his stuff that I guess was considered pretty cheesy, I find really amazing.
Also, that was the period when Depeche Mode was starting to tick over into that sampling phase that they went through. People Are People was the big single at the time, and the sounds in that just amazed me.
I remember hearing some very early new wave music, and Countdown for me was like the only way I could hear new electronic music, and it was a bit of a staple every weekend. And I used to love hearing the Machinations and all the other great Australian bands, and Molly Meldrum sort of drumming up interest with, oh, this is great, this is new, and you've got to get behind this is really interesting. And I really liked his taste, and I would follow it.
My earliest influences would have been from electronic music, apart from the ones that I mentioned before, like Kraftwerk and BBC Radiophonic Workshop and things like that. But I guess, you know, once sort of coming into the teenage years, it would have been bands like New Order, obviously. And, you know, that sort of early 80s synth pop quality, you know, Depeche Mode, Soft Cell, Human League, Gary Newman, all of that stuff that I was exposed to through my brothers and sisters in terms of popular music at the time, which was electronic based, left a great impression. But I guess I first became really consciously into an electronic band through New Order, you know, and you know, the tracks like Everything's Gone Green, Blue Monday, those sorts of things were you know, amazing things to listen to when they first came out.
Musicians such as Kraftwerk, Gary Newman, Cluster, Tangerine Dream, Brian Eno, Vangelis, Mike Oldfield and Jean-Michel Jarre, as well as the Japanese composers Isao Tomita and Kitaro, helped to popularize the sound of electronic music. By 1983, synthesizers became easier to integrate and synchronize with other electronic instruments and controls thanks to MIDI, the Musical Instrument Digital Interface. MIDI enables the transmission from one device or instrument to another of real-time performance data, note selection and preset information. By the late 80s, Artists like Nine Inch Nails, KMFDM, and Severed Heads took the innovations of musique concrete and applied them to dance and rock music. During this time, dub musicians such as industrial funk outfit Tackhead, vocalist Mark Stewart and others on Adrian Sherwood's On You Sound record label integrated the aesthetics of industrial and noise music with tape and dub production. This paved the way for much of the 1990s interest in dub, first through Meat Beat Manifesto and later down-tempo and trip-hop producers such as Kruder and Dorfmeister.